Aurora, Colorado. Many boomers are very, very upset about this, and it's taken quite a bit of research to figure out what the hell is actually going on here. So all started with this viral video. Let's put it up there on the screen. What you see in front of you were what was alleged to be, quote, armed Venezuelan gangs taking over whole buildings and vandalizing public property in Aurora, Colorado, just outside of Denver. These were allegedly members of a Venezuelan gang who were migrants, illegal migrants to the United States, and that this complex was allegedly fully taken over by these people. You could see that they have large weapons in their hands, and there was quite a bit of consternation wondering whether this was like a full-on takeover.
And this was like shared by Charlie Kirk, amplified by Elon Musk. It
Fox
was a
News,
whole
etc.
thing.
It went everywhere.
Whole thing.
So next then came the parsing of the details. So there were conflicting statements initially from the mayor, from the city, and from the police department. So we've learned now here from the interim chief of police, Heather Morris. She says, quote, what we're learning out here is that gang members have not taken over this complex. Let's take a listen.
Got quite a few of our officers out here that are out here tonight again. I've been out here for several weeks, making contacts with our residents, reassuring them about the criminal activity that's happening here and how we're going to address it. We're out here, we want to reassure the people that live in this community that we are actively investigating criminal activity that's happening and listening to them to so that we can learn anything that we're missing. You know, what are we missing, and actually find out what exactly is going on. We're out here because we care. I mean, nobody should be wearing this uniform if they don't care. And we want the residents and the people that live here to know that we care. We've been talking to the residents here and learning from them to find out what exactly is going on. And there's definitely a different picture. I'm not saying that there's not gang members that don't live in this community, but what we're learning out here is that gang members have not taken over this complex. We've really made an effort to the last few days to just really ask the specific questions and the direct questions in terms of the gang activity and who's actually making sure that people aren't paying rent to gang leaders or gang members, that's not happening. And we've discovered here today and yesterday talking to so many residents that that's not the case. We've been talking about, and they've been sincere with us. We really believe that they are sincere with us. And we're standing out here, and I can tell you that gang members have not taken over this apartment complex.
Okay, that's the Aurora police chief. Let's put the next part up on the screen. It reiterates, this is from USA Today. What they say is not only reiterating many of the quotes that we just heard from the interim police chief, they also flag this. They say, quote, rumors of the complex being run by the Tren de Aragua gang is a large criminal organization from Venezuela began circulating when that video of men carrying guns and entering apartments went viral. The Department of Homeland Security then confirmed to News Nation that the men seen in the video were Tren de Aragua members. The city of Aurora confirmed that there is, quote, a small Tren de Aragua presence in Aurora, and the police department has been taking it seriously. Now, though, they say there has been a lot of misleading information shared about what is happening in our city. I believe, Krystal, that a lot of this stems back to the Colorado Aurora mayor, Mayor Kaufman, who is one of the people who reacted to this by going on Fox News and implying that this was taken over. Let's take a listen.
Can you confirm whether or not this gang has taken over these buildings there in Aurora?
So there are several buildings actually under the same ownership, out-of-state ownership, that have fallen to these Venezuelan gangs. I'm trying to walk it back and do the investigation as to how there's a concentration of Venezuelans in these three buildings. Somebody put them there, and somebody funded it. Whether it's federal government or not, we're trying to find out who. These gangs apparently are attracted to where there's a concentration of Venezuelan migrants, and so they've in fact have kind of pushed out the property management through intimidation and then collected the rents. We have now, or have had, it is ongoing operations with a task force of local law enforcement, state law enforcement partners, and federal law enforcement partners to root them out. And arrests have been made, but these operations are still ongoing.
With the arrests that have been made, are these confirmed gang-affiliated members?
This is an organized criminal effort, whether it's Tren de Aragua, that remains to be seen, but it really doesn't matter. I mean, if they're Venezuelan migrants and they're conducting crime in an organized manner.
Understood.
So,
okay.
Yeah.
And he's since changed his tune.
After this interview, he totally changed his story. He says, those people that came and talked to me, he's talking about residents of the building themselves, didn't seem fearful, quite frankly. They gave a lot of explanation as to why they weren't paying rent. There wasn't the property management there. I thought that the people who were the so-called gang members, again, this is all that same mayor you just heard, were extracting the rent from them. But the people that came up to me said that was not the case. They wanted to stay there, but they wanted the place maintained. He believes the property managers were chased off the premises. What we need to do is figure out how to bring it back under the control of the owner of the property. And so there's a meeting with representatives of the owners on Thursday. I'll be participating. I think there's a pattern on all these properties. I'm going to be blunt. It's an out-of-state slumlord and hasn't maintained the properties. And that, okay, so the police chief, the residents,
we have to go deeper because this involves
the mayor, all of the other city officials, and neighboring Denver mayor and city officials as well, now are all saying this building is run by an out-of-state slumlord. The residents are complaining about trash that hasn't been picked up for weeks. This slumlord has already been indicted on charges with regard to not maintaining another apartment building where the sewage was backed up, the trash wasn't picked up. We're talking rodents, we're talking infestations. The residents did their own press conference laying all of this out. And this slumlord hired a PR firm to basically push these claims to try to get out of these charges that he's already facing in court. So at this point, it's pretty clear what happened, since you have the mayor, who's a Republican, by the way, Republican mayor, and the city officials and the police chief and the residents all saying this is not at all what's happening. This is about a slumlord trying to get out of maintaining the property that we are paying thousands of dollars in rent to live in.
We have E5, please, up on the screen. This is from the local press, and it references what you were saying. The residents at that complex say deplorable issues are the deplorable conditions are the issue, not the gangs. They said, quote, they are trying to put us all in one group and all in one bag. They're trying to say that there are delinquents, there are criminals. Here there are moms, there are families. They did, I believe, acknowledge that there was like criminals that had been there, but they were like, that is not the fundamental issue. So, okay, let's step back. Like, why did this all become a major conflagration? So this is part of, actually references our original A block, is you cannot just simply believe everything you put out there. And you know, none of this whitewashes concerns about migrants. You know, from the Denver Post, 43,000 Venezuelan migrants have arrived in the Denver area since January of 2023. And they don't even need to be committing crime for me to say that's crazy.
And do you know what has happened with crime?
What? That
it dropped.
Has gone down?
It dropped 20%.
I mean, so what?
In the first 8 months.
That doesn't have any
Saw
impact.
declines in homicides, robberies, and aggravated assaults. Well, it's very relevant to this story because obviously the point of blowing this up was like, oh my God, violent migrant criminals are taking over this town. And while I'm sure there are some migrants, as there are some, domestic-born citizens who commit crimes, no doubt about it, the overall picture here is actually the exact opposite. These migrants haven't brought crime. The crime rate has dropped 20%, as it has, by the way, as part of a national trend in a lot of the country.
About migrants, it's just about national trend and drop.
True, but it's the polar opposite of the picture that was attempted to be painted with these false allegations about gang members taking over apartment complexes. And again, not just, people like Charlie Kirk, right-wing influencer, Elon Musk, who runs the whole friggin' platform, elevating this claim and another completely fake claim, by the way, out of Chicago of a similar thing. So,
okay, fine.
Yeah, it's a cesspool. That's the bottom line. Like, don't believe these people. They lie, they make stuff up. There's an ideological agenda here.
I agree. And that is part of the reason that I wanted to say is that just because it's fake, though, doesn't mean that there aren't concerns. And that's part of what annoys me, is that when you tar yourself by pushing stuff that ends up to not be true, you actually do disservice to anybody who has a concern, as I do, that there are 43,000 illegal Venezuelan migrants who are in the city of Denver. That's crazy. Also, whenever we are vetting, like, whether something is committed by a crime or not, by pushing false stuff, you diminish genuine incidents of migrant crime and of people who are murderers and or rapists. You have to be solid in your facts whenever you make such claims. And this is what annoys me about the entire thing. I'm combining it with the tenant stuff, is it simply allows a dismissal of any of legitimate concerns around migrant crime or even around migrant presence, period. You don't have to be committing crime for you to still be a problem if you're here. Are they receiving city services? Who's paying your rent? Is it the government? Are you getting welfare from the Denver government? None of that should be allowed, period. I mean, that is why I get so annoyed about these, you know, the Elon, the Charlie Kirk, and the flourishing of this stuff. In fact, just this morning, somebody told me, they said, hey, do you know about this Aurora thing? X's mom is super upset about it. And I was like, oh, I'm actually covering it on the show tomorrow. And it's because, you know, Fox News and many of these other places are not doing their genuine due diligence in presenting that, and they're just simply putting it all out there. And then will they do a correction or will they do a follow-up? Almost certainly not.
Of course not.
Now, if it was real, would MSNBC or any of these other people cover it? No, but they certainly will cover it now because they'll be like, hey, look at these idiots who fell for all
As
this.
they should.
Yeah, no, I mean, look, I'm not saying it's not illegitimate.
Listen,
The political valence of this drives me crazy.
Yes.
Because it is, whenever you whip people up based on something fake, then you just get to dismiss it out of hand. When I think it's a very legitimate concern, period. Like, who are these residents? Are any of them even legal residents? Like, who is paying their rent? You know, why is this all being taken up by people who are not even from here? I think that's a very legitimate concern. But then saying, you know, oh, it's like part of some major gang activity, whenever that obviously ends up being BS, then everyone should frankly dismiss a lot of the other stuff that you're saying.
Because it's a very clear attempt to demonize and lie about the migrant population. And, you know, it's also very clear what's going on here. Immigration is the strongest issue for Trump.
Yeah.
Trump appears to be losing right now. Now, who knows?
I don't know if that's true. I wouldn't say that. Not when he's got a 53% or whatever chance by Nate Silver.
Listen, we just showed the
That's not
swing
losing.
state polls in CNN. I think that he's probably a little bit behind, but reasonable people could disagree on that. In any case, what I think is very clear, immigration is his best issue. They want to have a conversation about immigration, even if that, and Elon Musk is a $2 million backer of Donald Trump, explicit backer of Donald Trump. They want the conversation to be about evil immigrants because that benefits them politically, even if it means making some bullshit up and spreading a fake viral story. So just like, you know, keep these things in mind when you're looking at these stories that go viral because they're shameless about it. And I don't know if you saw this, but Elon also elevated, there was like some claim that this was happening in Chicago too. Somebody had called in to 911 about a similar Chicago incident. And the police went to the apartment complex and were like, this is not happening. People are just trying to like make like, you know, cause a stir and create false narratives. So it was a total hoax that he also spread and shared. And I'm sure many of the people, millions of people who saw that are not gonna know that that was also a complete hoax. So anyway, it's very clear this was just like, and you're benefiting this slumlord who is screwing these residents who are paying rent and, you know, deserve to live in clean conditions without bugs and rats and sewage backup and trash piled up over weeks and weeks because you didn't pay to have the garbage collectors come. So in any case, the whole situation is it's just disgusting to me. And the way that people ran with it, even after the residents themselves, the mayor, the police chief, et cetera, said this is completely false. It's just, yeah.
It became a national story. Now you have the facts. You can make up your minds. I would say it didn't.
There's no one making up your minds. It was fake. It was totally fake.
No, I'm saying you can make up your mind on the migrant issue.
Sure, yes, absolutely. But on this story, there is no like, you know, evaluate and decide. Everyone who's involved in this, except for the clearly nefarious slumlord, is saying the same thing.
Who is this slumlord? This guy got off real well, didn't he? He's like, he didn't even pay his bills.
Because he had a court date set.
I love the out-of-state thing too.
He had a court date set, and the judge actually like let him push off his court date for a while all of this was going on. So apparently, you know, at least in the short term, it worked. But what a disgusting scumbag. Period.
Right. Yeah, that I agree. Hey, if you like that video, hit the like button or leave a comment below. It really helps get the show to more people.
And if you'd like to get the full show ad-free and in your inbox every morning, you can sign up at breakingpoints.com.
That's right. Get the full show, help support the future of independent media at breakingpoints.com.